Hello and welcome to another edition of Conspirator Brock's Pull List. This is my pull list for the week of March 28th, 2018. It is actually the Thursday, the 29th. I was not able to record yesterday due to the fact that I had to go pick up something for the comic book store, which I'll get into later. But let's get to the pull list. So first up, this week we have Greg Rucka and Nicola Scott's Black Magic, number 11. I like this series, but I think with the hiatus that it took, my interest has really just fallen off the book. It's good, but again, that hiatus in the middle of it, I don't know if, I think issue 12 might be my last issue for the foreseeable future, but who knows, we'll see. Next up is the ginormous book of the week. And that is the last issue of Dark Knight's Metal, issue 6. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Dark Knight's Metal, number 6 is out. It's an awesome read. I highly, highly recommend everybody pick it up. Just because Dark Knight's Metal has been fun, it's just a ton of fun. I know a lot of people have been kind of down on it. They're like, it's taking too long, all this stuff. I understand those complaints, but as a whole, Dark Knight's Metal has been a just fun, really great story that I can't wait to read in a nice hardcover edition. A lot of the talk about Dark Knight's Metal and it taking too long and all the one-shots and all that stuff, for me, it had remnant. It felt like when people were talking about Scott Snyder's 0 Hour back in the New 52. I really enjoyed 0 Hour, but the story did slow down a drastic amount, and a lot of the momentum that had built up in the beginning of New 52 lost a lot of people during 0 Hour. But I still loved everything out of New 52, and I love Dark Knight's Metal, so you should check it out. It's awesome. Next up, we have The Demon Hell is Earth, number 5 of 6. Demon's just interesting character. I like the magical characters that are in it. Xanadu, all that, Merlin, all that stuff. It's cool stuff. It's not necessarily something that I would highly recommend. I enjoy reading it, so that's why I pick it up. But it's definitely something that's, once it's done, it's going to go up on my eBay and get purged. So, not that it's bad, it's just I don't really need it. Next up, we have Detective Comics number 977. Batman Eternal Star is going on. Detective's just been really, really solid book. I really enjoyed it. There is going to be a creative team shakeup soon, which I'm slightly excited for, but slightly disappointed that it's changing. So we'll see. But Detective has still been a solid book since Rebirth. So. And the other big title this week, at least on my pull list, is a Doomsday Clock number 4 of 12. Yeah, this is basically the origin story of the new Rorschach, so you should probably check it out if you're curious as to who this guy is. There's an awesome appearance in here, really quirky, really funny, just great. Just a great way to have the character incorporated and use the character in just a really fantastic way. So yeah, Doomsday Clock 4. We'll have to wait for issue 5, but you got 4 issues to reread if you want. It's good stuff. Next up, we have Flash number 43. This continues Perfect Storm, where Flash is now battling everybody possessed by Grodd, and everybody is all the speedsters. So yeah, let's see how he does in that. So curious to see how that goes. Next up, we have Gotham City Garage number 12. Just a fun book that's digital first. I don't remember what chapters this one collects, but I've been enjoying it, so yeah, go with it. Next up, we have Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, number 41. Zod's Will is the story arc that's going on right now, and apparently, according to the cover, it looks like Hal's in trouble, but we'll see. Vendetti's been doing a good, solid job on Green Lantern, even after his fumble after Johns, but following Johns on something is always a difficult task. But Vendetti stuck with it, and his stuff has been vastly improved since then. So, yeah, good stuff. Next up, we have Justice League of America number 27. Dawn of Time Part 1 starts here. The Justice League books are going to be going away, I guess, with No Justice, the thing coming out from Scott Snyder, and then being relaunched. So we'll see what happens coming up. But yeah, I definitely think that this time, with the shakeup and the renumbering, I may actually jump off of a couple titles that are associated with the Justice League family and with this No Justice thing. So we'll see. Next up is an image book that I really enjoy, and that is Manifest Destiny. This is issue 34. Just Manifest Destiny is just one of those books that just is a great read, solid book every single month it comes out, and I always enjoy, I always wait to read it towards the end of my pile. But I really enjoy it. If you're curious about it, I would definitely recommend picking up the first trade, which is called Flora and Fauna. If you like that first trade, keep going with it. It is a good book. Next up we have Mera, Queen of Atlantis, number 2. I really enjoyed the first issue, so I'm excited to see issue 2 and see where Abnett takes Mera in this story. And of course we're getting Ocean Master back, so we'll see how that goes. Next up is the last issue of Mystic U, and that's issue 3. So I'm curious to see how this story pans out with a younger Zatanna at magic school. We'll see. It's definitely something that I've enjoyed reading, but it will go up on my eBay and I'm going to purge it out. I don't necessarily purge things because I don't like them. I purge them because I enjoyed them, but I don't need to have them around anymore. So when I say I purge, I'm purging because of that. Sometimes I purge because I'm like, why do I even have this? Other times I'm just purging because I'm done with it. I enjoyed it. Just need to move on. Next up we have Redneck number 11. This has been an interesting title, so I've kept up with it. Basically redneck vampires and all that it entails. So yeah. Next up is it's a big book for this week, but also a big book in general, and that's Saga 50. Saga hits 50 issues this week. Personally, this cover is not the best cover. I think they were trying to capture a moment where they were taking a picture, but it wasn't the picture. It was in the middle of something. But again, I think that her face there does not... That's where the error is. Everything else is fine, I get it, but that her face doesn't portray anything that would add to this being a random snapshot of a family trying to take a family photo. But I'm excited to read Saga 50. So, new number 1 from Valiant, and that is Shadow Man number 1. So I'm curious to check out Shadow Man and see how this version goes. Hopefully they kind of continue with what they've established with Shadow Man, because the original stuff that they re-released years ago was good, or relaunched years ago was good, but then it really fell apart and staggered. So hopefully they can get some of that momentum back from that earlier run and continue with making something cool out of Shadow Man. Next up is one for my son, and that is Star Wars Adventures number 8. As soon as he's ready to read them, they're all his. Next up we have Suicide Squad number 38, Shock and Awe Part 1 starts. Suicide Squad's just been really, it's been a good book. There's been story arcs that have been good, story arcs have been and story arcs have been really fun. So overall, I enjoy Suicide Squad. I'm curious to see where the team is heading issue to issue, especially story to story. So, fun stuff. Next up we have Teen Titans number 18, It Ain't Easy Being Green. Beast Boy gets himself into some trouble, and we'll see what happens with that. Teen Titans, I think, is one of those titles that's going to be renumbered with No Justice, so I might jump off of Teen Titans. That and Titans, I've never been big fans of those teams, but I've been sticking with them through from the Rebirth stuff because they've been at least enjoyable, but I don't know if I'm going to continue with it. So you always have to constantly be, trimming that pull list down so you're just getting what you want. Next up, we have The Terrifics number 2. Can't wait to dive into this one from Ivan Rice and Jeff Lemire. It's a troll book. We all know it's a troll book, but issue 1 was fantastic, and I can't wait to see what happens with this team. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Whew. All right, next up we have Trinity number 20, The Search for Steve Trevor. I saw the title of this and I realized, man, we search for a lot of people in comic books. We also have trials for a lot of people in comic books. And we also have a lot of versus stuff in comic books. So it's a reoccurring theme. Trinity's been okay. It's been just a fair book. If it stopped and didn't start up again, I wouldn't be disappointed. But again, it's just good. I don't mind it being on my pull list, but it's one of those titles that definitely, if it started to tank, I'd have to cut it. And next up is Wonder Woman number 43. Amazon's Attacked continues here, and Diana and her brother Jason have to deal with apparently some Omega effect beams. So yeah, we'll see how they do on that. But Wonder Woman's been really enjoyable. Rucka did an amazing job on the Rebirth start, and then Robinson is now doing it and picked it up and has done a good job. So I do enjoy reading it. So curious to see what happens with this issue. Next up, we have Exo Manowar number 13. Just been really enjoying Exo Manowar. Solid book. Don't necessarily know why they renumbered it, but they had 50 issues prior, so renumbering necessarily wasn't something I was too down on. But yeah, it's still good stuff. So if you're curious, I would recommend picking up the previous volume of Exo Manowar. But if you want, you can try and check this one out. But the previous one really gets the ball rolling and sets you up for where Exo Manowar is at the start of this series. So, but it's up to you. So that is it for what I pulled. I did grab some variant covers this week. There was 4 variants total, or 4 covers total for Dark Nights Metal. Cover 2 was the Tony Daniel cover, with all of the crazy Man Who Laughs Robin Demon Boy things. Andy Kubrick did the next variant with Wonder Woman battling a demonic version of herself. And of course, Jim Lee gave us the Batman of Multiverse and Detective Chimp variant cover, which I thought was awesome. Detective Comics had a variant, so I decided to pick that one up. And of course, the Doomsday Clock one kind of really gives away who the story is about. Flash had a pretty good one from David Finch. Flash versus Gorilla Grodd there. Saga actually had a variant cover without anything on it. So again, this was really where I really got to kind of pay attention to the image. Fiona Staples is a great artist. That's just my nitpick on that cover. Suicide Squad number 38 had its a variant, so I grabbed that one. And of course, the variant for Wonder Woman 43 right there. Awesome stuff. A trade did come out this week, and it's a trade that ends something. It's kind of sad that this is the last I will read of this series. It's been really just an amazing ride. I've only read this in trade. I started out in trade, and I picked it all of them up. And that's Volume 5 of Invincible. This is the End of All Things, Part 2, Volume 25. So this is the last of Invincible. So sad to see this go, but can't wait to see how Robert Kirkman ends this series. It's really an amazing series. It's just it's a fun just play on everything that's happened in comic books over decades and decades of stories, and just kind of all rolled into one, and that it kind of pushes things, but it's still just a superhero comic, and it's just awesome stuff. So if you have not yet checked out Invincible, I do highly recommend it. There will be most likely a final compendium out. I know they have a compendium for one compendium out, and I believe 2 is out right as well. But I know they're going to finish it up in a compendium form. That'll be the cheapest way to get it. There's the soft covers. There's also hardcover format. But Invincible it's just been a really great ride, and I can't wait to see how it all ends. And finally, we get our wonderful, wonderful previews magazine this week. And this is previews number for April 2018. This is issue 355, and this is for everything coming out in stores in June of 2018, at least comic book wise. The other stuff, who knows when that stuff comes out. But previews is out. They changed their format. Why? I have no idea. But if you DC is still in here, even though they're supposed to be pulling out of being in here soon. So previews has always had one side that was one cover that was flipped. So one side was the right way, and then the other wasn't. But so this is basically how you would read previews. This is the front cover, and this would have been the back cover. And normally the back cover, you just flip it over and go, oh, okay, that's the back cover, and then you'd have to flip it over again. Well, in the middle of previews, they have this. You'll flip for previews starting this month. So now, instead of just continuing on, this back half is upside down. Which is kind of, I can see why they did it. It may work out in the long run. But if you flip it to the backside now contains all of the stuff that is merchandise kind of product, toys, games, shirts, puzzles, all that stuff is located in the back flipped. So hopefully that works out for them. For me, it's okay. I'll take it or leave it. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you want, check out your local previews. You can also go to previewsworld.com to check it out. If you are on our Comics Conspiracy Comic Hub app, the new previews should be uploaded. It should be uploaded now, but if not, give it a bit. But they update that, and you can search there. Also, don't forget that Marvel previews is separate. So if you want to check out Marvel's upcoming stuff, you got to get a Marvel previews. And of course, Image Plus has their own little thing that you can go through with like more content and all that stuff. So you can snag that up to see if you want to check out anything new that's coming out. So yeah, so that's it for my pull list. The reason why I was late getting the pull list up this week was due to the fact that on Monday afternoon, while I was working at the shop, I got a text from Ryan saying that I needed to find a bakery that was close to us that did printed sheet cake. And so what a printed sheet cake is an image gets printed on something that's edible, and then that edible layer is then put on a cake. So I called around a few places and got back to Ryan. But basically the reason why I had to do this was the wonderful Scott Snyder wanted to thank our store, Comics Conspiracy, for all of the stuff, for the support of metal, and just being great fans and just a quality retail establishment. So he sent us a cake, which I had to pick up Wednesday. It's really surreal when you walk into a place and say, I'm here to pick up a cake for Comics Conspiracy or Ryan Higgins, and they look at you like, no, we don't have any of those names. Is it under Scott Snyder? And they're like, oh yeah, we got Scott Snyder here. I was like, yeah, it's a little surreal to do that. If you want, you can check out pictures of the cake on my Twitter feed or the Twitter feed for Comics Conspiracy, which is at ComicsCon Store. So check them out there. But yeah, really surreal experience. I did not get to enjoy the cake since I am vegan and don't eat dairy, so it looked like it was very rich, and a few people have told me it was very rich. But if you want a fair reaction to it, I responded to somebody on one of the Twitter threads, a video of my son eating a piece of the cake. So that's pretty much the reaction. But thank you, Scott, for the cake, and thank you for everything you do. Can't wait to read No Justice. So yeah. That's it for this week's pull list. You can follow me on Twitter. My handle is @BrockSager. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. I know I've been a little out of it in getting back to you guys on there, but go ahead and leave them. I try to get respond as quickly as possible. I know I have a bunch of stuff I need to take care of. There's a whole row here of things that I need to show you guys, unboxing stuff of statues and so on and so forth. Hopefully I can get to it soon. But yeah. We did not record this week due to the fact that Ryan Higgins was out of town. So there won't be anything. So there'll be a link in the description below for the Comic Conspiracy podcast, but it's just a general link to the Comic Conspiracy podcast. But if you're curious, check out Scott Snyder's interview that we did a while back. And he's just a really cool guy, down to earth. But that will be in the description below as well. But we will be back to normal recording of the Comic Conspiracy next week. If you want to help me and my fellow conspirators out, you can do that through Patreon at www.patreon.com/comicsconspiracy. For as little as $1 a month, you help us with hosting, getting food sometimes, and getting product. So thank you very much to all of our Patreon backers. We appreciate everything that you help us out with. So yeah, thank you. And I'm probably forgetting something, but it'll come to me at some point after I hit end on this recording. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.